Salutations, Utopians, on this Sunday. I hope everyone's gearing up for a productive week. I hope everyone was able to get themselves regrouped. For those of you, this is your who have a different type of unique schedule. Whatever's going on in your world, I hope mind over matter is working for you. With that being said, this morning we got news that Christie Sides had been relieved of her responsibility. For those of you who don't know, Christie Sides is the head coach of the Indiana Fever. And the main person in charge in managing this $28 million asset who slash phenom in Caitlin Clark, who has completely changed the trajectory of women's basketball that has been operating in a financial deficit since its inception. I don't know if a lot of people are aware, this offseason there's been quite a number of terminations going on in front office jobs. In the latest installment of that, the Mystics relieved themselves of GM Tebow and his son Tebow, the Tebow family, and yesterday the Las Vegas Aces relieved their general manager from their responsibilities, notifying them they're gone. Some have speculated it's due to the Dearica Hamby lawsuit. As I have expressed on a number of occasions, even if there is some exposure, there is no economic damages for Dearica Hamby due to the fact that she lost nothing. She's in a big market in LA. She's played in the Olympics, and so and she can only have. I only see her having no more than 4 years tops left in the W, seeing how the game is moving towards a more faster paced league, far more athletic paced league. We got women who are on the, Kiki from USC, Watkins from South Carolina. These are fives, frontline players who can actually dunk the ball. Dearica's a low center of gravity player, but just more importantly, you have the game becoming more quicker, more athletic, more up tempo, and so people think that determination to the Las Vegas Aces motive for terminating their GM is due to the Dearica Hamby lawsuit. I don't see it that way. I think it was just time for a shakeup. They had a lot of veterans on their team, and they were scrambling just to even make it into the playoffs near the end. Even though the record was okay, just the overall stamina of the team was running out of gas prior to them landing Tiffany Hayes, who, won 6 Woman of the Year mid-season, even though she was a mid-season signing. They were running out of gas fast, and so having 4 Olympians and then coming in, and that's where Christie Sides, speaking of the Olympians and the Olympics, found her second win. Yes, they were bottom tier, but as I alluded earlier, when you're dealing with a phenom of the caliber of Caitlin Clark, the problem when you are drafted in the WNBA, there's a small window before the season begins, 1 month to be exact. That is so much to change and to update and to process. And with that 2-week break, I think it was 2-3 week break with the Olympics, All-Star, they were able to manage to turn it around. Now, I want to be clear, I was not a fan of the utilization of Nalissa Smith in the postseason. I feel like when you play against a team like Connecticut with Dewana Bonner, who has got legacy stats in the points and rebound 3-point shooting department, very lanky, rangy defender who's in her 15th season, and then you got a player like Alyssa Thomas, who's a walking triple-double. Not the most fluent scorer, but can get the job done. But just an overall well-rounded player, point center type player, and the physicality metrics off the charts. She's the closest thing before it becomes flagrant. and to walk in that line. And the lack of utilization of Nelissa Smith, uh, they have a problem, I think, also at the 4 spot uh, with former South Carolina Gamecock champion Aaliyah Edwards. Um, and then, the backcourt with Kelsey Mitchell, phenomenal. But ultimately, the Fever have their mind made up. And speaking of the Connecticut Sun, I think they want to hire the Connecticut Sun's head coach. She's an ex Indiana Fever player. So it was a situation where um, Indiana has got their eyes set on something else. Some people want to say Cheryl Miller. I don't think she's enough of an X's and O coach at this stage in her career. She hasn't. It's been a little bit too much of a time gap since she last coached uh, to really have her as the head coach. But nonetheless, she's been speculated as well. Nothing but the biggest of names have been rumored. Uh, I do think Connecticut Sun will like the former Connecticut Sun, who's one of the people got relieved of their duties, is high on their list. Has sentimental values, coaching style, all that stuff. Um, Been to many conference finals, so just hasn't gotten over the proverbial hunt. With that being said, do I think it was justified? I won't say that it was wrong or right. I'll say that in this scenario, you wouldn't be wrong to feel either way. However, I do empathize with Christie Sides, and forgive me for this video not having all the names and all that. I'm just going off a complete shot because honestly, I'm seeing now that the W is just embarking on a new image and a new wave and getting ready for a new style of brand of basketball with all this endorsement and money about to flood in the next 2 to 3 years, closing on a $2.2 billion media rights opportunity, 145 million going to their 3-on-3 unrivaled league, spearheaded by Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, Defensive Player of the Year and postseason scoring phenom. Breanna Stewart is obviously world champion. Um, Starting power forward. And right now it's actually a power forward driven league, but we are about to see a run on some combo guards in the next couple years. But with that being said, you know, um, it's just unfortunate when you're coaching legends. It really is a trap. You get a lot of FaceTime, but then there's a lot of high standards and expectations. And you have to make sure, again, it goes with my running theory, what happened at the Atlanta Dream situation, what happened with Coach Spoon, with Angel Reese, trying to make sure she gets her stats, and to keep up with the whole Rookie of the Year discussion, because Reese has done so much, whether people want to make her out to be some kind of sideshow act. She deserves a lot of praise. It started with LSU. Obviously, Caitlin Clark took on a flame of her own, and so, it's difficult to watch this happen. I still don't understand what happened with Spoon after one season. I just don't think you treat a legend like that. So when you see Christie Sides and you realize that, like, with some ample time and a proper off season and a proper break to reevaluate and conjure up a game plan, but they did look lost when they got against Connecticut, and the fact that they didn't up, you get to the first, you get your playoff first round, and you just decide to abruptly put Nelissa Smith on the bench, and she's playing like a combined 10 minutes total for the series when she's been starting all year. And Nelissa sports a very versatile game. She's not your traditional back to the basket. In fact, she looks a lot better when she's got you in triple threat at the top of the key. And Christie completely just turned her back to her. So, I don't really know what that situation is about. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in the W. Ultimately, at the end of the day, they did what was best for her. I just felt like it was appropriate to pay respect anytime you're dealing in such a heightened environment, where there was so much expectations and everything was happening so fast. Media coverage quadrupled on them, and even though it's coming, there's no real way to appropriately prepare for uh, such a a tycoon of a storm with this Caitlin Clark army. Again, there's no knock. Hey, you're in show business, sports and entertainment. That's the name of the game. But ultimately, I think she did a wonderful job. Just life sometimes has a funny way of working out, but that resume is unbelievable and unmatched, and she'll always be embarked as a pioneer to the beginning of Caitlin Clark's game. Um, and she will definitely land back on her feet. I don't think anyone thinks that this was an indictment on the quality of coach. Anyone with half a brain that appreciates basketball is just, it's a certain preference, and everything has to look good when you're dealing with this echelon of stakes um, at the helm. So, you know, nothing to hang your hat about. I loved her tweet, left it better than you found it. And that's exactly what she did. Stay classy, stay elite, and I'm sure she'll land on her feet. Congrats to her on such a wonderful year and an overall coaching job in Indiana. She most certainly um, elevated the game and will land on her feet again. I'll try to do better next time. Utopians Global out.